I got a call from Chris Edmonds on behalf of Jeff, asking me if I would participate in the podcast. We wanted to talk about a whole host of things, and I actually thought about it for a second and said, why not? Why wouldn't I do that? I mean, the more information about our industry that gets out is the better, as you know, in your world. So I decided I'm going to do it, and I think I probably surprised some of my own team by doing that. But, you know, I believe in markets are markets sometimes, and, you know, competitors are competitors, but that's okay. But let's do what's in the best interest of the client, and that's why I wanted to do it. We've been doing stuff for many, many years, John. As you know, just in some of the events that you've been involved with personally that are important to you, CME's been there to help participate, whether with people or a check. You know, we believe in being a good corporate civic citizen. You know, I'm blessed. My wife is fine from the incident. She did not get hurt, thank God, but, you know, very shaken and very frightened by this whole thing. And, you know, I was out working in New York at the time, and so it happened at midday, and, you know, very, very sad. But I think it's important, and I even said this on the ICE podcast, that, you know, I've been around a long time in Chicago, born and raised, and seen a lot. I think it's important for all of us to, you know, take a breath sometimes and see what we can do to make it better. And someone may say, well, what can I do to make it better? How about just being nice to the person next to you? And that might resonate to somebody else. So maybe you can't make a decision based on policy in Springfield or policy in City Council or in the United States Congress, but you can certainly make an impression on your fellow man or woman next to you as far as just act cordially and let's try to get along better. So I think that's part of the issue. I think Chicago and like a lot of other cities are to the point now where they think they're throwing their hands up without doing the one easiest thing in the world, which is nothing except being nice. And just be respectful of your other people that you come about. And I think that could make a big difference. So, you know, and then from a corporate side, CME is involved in many things, especially the youth. I'm a big believer in the youth. That's why I'm kind of upset by the carjacking incident for a whole host of reasons. A, it was my wife, but, you know, everybody else's family member that's happened to. Most of these are juvenile attacks because they don't lock them up, and I think the system is broke. So why would you not want to invest in a child? So what really disturbs me is they say, well, it's a juvenile, so we'll let them ride out. What service did you just do for that juvenile by letting them ride out? And they just think it's okay now. So why would you not want to invest in them? Whether you have to incarcerate them to teach them that that's not an appropriate way to go about your life. So let's put money into that, into the youth, even the most importantly, the troubled youth, to make them better people. So I have real troubles with the system today, the way it's designed, by saying no punishment is okay, because I think they're hurting the long-term health of these kids anyway. So I want to see more accountability from the elected leaders, judges, and others. But as far as CME's participation in the civic arena, universities, Chicago Public Schools, something very near and dear to me, the Chicago Police Department. I am a huge supporter of the Chicago Police Department. I purchased a lot of their bulletproof vests for them because the city of Chicago does not do it. They got to do it on their own. So I'm a big believer in doing whatever we can. Now, I've been blessed. I work hard. We've been blessed in this industry, and so we'd like to give back to the community. One of the biggest things you can do, John, is when you've been in the business like I have and like you have for 40 plus years, trading and then being in leadership and so too, you know, you look at some of the accomplishments that you achieved, and sometimes you don't even realize it because you're at a very high pace. The last thing you want to do is not teach somebody else how to continue on with those efforts. So what do I want to do? I want to make sure I can continue to mentor younger people at CME, so CME can continue to be a good corporate citizen, can be a great financial exchange, managing risk for people all over the world, and making certain that those people have an understanding of all that works. So just to work to a certain part and then leave, I think you're doing a disservice to any organization that you truly believe in. And I truly believe in the exchange world, especially CME. So I want to make sure I can transfer any wealth and knowledge that I have or not to the future of the people that are running a place, and that's what I try to do each and every day. And that's why I've always said, you know, when I became chairman then CEO, I always said, if I'm not prepared to do the job, how can I ask anybody else to do it? So I am prepared to do just about every job that I'm capable of doing. And that to me shows leadership and then mentorship, and then that place will be better off after a while. I think market structure is going to change. I think when you have a system in place for a long period of time, whether we're talking about the equity markets with Dina and Jeff, between pennies and decimals and how they have to compete, or just how the efficiencies of markets are going to be in general. Does the technology of blockchain and stable coins, do they get more involved in the ecosystem to make it more efficient? And that's kind of where I think we have to go. We have to constantly be looking forward about what's in the best interest of the next participants. Because John Lothian and I grew up in a certain time in the markets doesn't make it right for John Lothian's children 10 years from now in the marketplace. It should be put into a framework where they can accept it into their lives and make it even better. So and I really believe that's where the markets are ultimately going to go. And I think if you look at history, that's what's happened to them. People have introduced their new concepts, their new ideas throughout a whole host of years to make the markets better and better. Now, is there problems along the way? Anytime you have progress, you also have issues. So we can't have a perfect world, but I do think we can continue to move forward and the markets can become bigger and better and more efficient than ever. Being a good father, being a good husband, and being a good mentor. I had the best mentor in the world, John. His name was Vincent Schreiber. You know him as well as I do. He was a great mentor to me, and I've never forgotten that. Vince has been gone for a lot of years. And that carries with a person for a lot of years after that. So I want to be known as a good father, a good husband, and a good mentor. And if I'm only known for one or two or three, then that's okay too, it's a success. But I think when people look to solidify their future in an industry after they're gone, they're destined for failure before they leave. So just have those things in mind. And when I walk off the stage, I want to walk off the stage. And, if people ask me my opinion, great, but I just don't want to insert myself. I want to make sure I already had that in place before I did.